In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a basic preset on the Line 6 HX effects in conjunction with any amplifier that has an effects loop. Hey guys, I'm Dr. Mcfarland and I'm back for another video. I actually sold my HX effects a few months ago because I just had tons and tons of gear laying around and I didn't feel like I needed it anymore. But through a series of events and trading some pedals, I was able to acquire another HX effect. So I have it back on my board along with the Blue Guitar Amp 1, and this is a great combination with a 100-watt amp and all the effects you'll ever need. And this would be a good all-around preset for jamming, recording, and just a good basis for anything else I want to do in the future. So to begin, I do have this set up in the 4-cable method, which essentially means I'm going to take a cable from my guitar, plug it into the input of the HX effects, and then I'm actually using Effects Loop 2 on the back here. And I'm going to take the send and then connect the cable over to the Amp 1 input. And then from the Amp 1 send, go to the return on the HX. And then from the output of the HX to the return of the Amp 1. So that gives you a way to have effects before your amp and effects in the effects loop of your amp and have a nice clean signal path so your wet effects are nice and pristine and pretty sounding, and all your dirt and stuff is hitting the front end of the amplifier. So with all that said, we will now hit the 3 lines up on the top, hit the signal flow switch, and you can see that we have 3 slots available per switch. And this means we have 9 total. So on the second switch, I will go to the middle slot and I will hit the big black knob here. And this is also a way for us to scroll up and down between all of our different effects. So we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom till we see send and return. And these are all in alphabetical order, so they're really easy to find. And then we're going to push on the big black knob. Push again for mono. And then we're going to go find our Effects Loop 2 option on the bottom there. So hit save twice. And just to prove that we have some signal, I can start playing. Okay, so now let's actually start from the end and let's put in a nice big washed out reverb for some ambient stuff. And there's just tons of options in here, but let's go with maybe a Searchlights and maybe bring the mix up a little bit. We do have a modulation and a speed option here, so maybe put the speed pretty slow. And I can change all this later, but the most important thing with reverb and delay is to make sure you have your trails on. So that way when you bypass the effect will keep going. So for instance, if I play a chord here, and now I bypassed it and you can hear that the effect kept going. So that's really what I want. I'm going to turn the mix down pretty low. Okay, so I can change that in the future, but for now that works pretty good. And we can see that it's assigned to foot switch 6, which is down here on the bottom. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to our 3 lines. Signal flow. Let's go to the next slot in line, and this is going to be another reverb, but this time we're going to have it be a shimmer. And this shimmer is a little bit more advanced than the Legacy Octo shimmer option, but we do have a pitch A and a pitch B. So we have 3 little encoders right here that we can use to change the parameters here on the first screen. Then we can use our arrow keys to scroll over to the other parameters. So scrolling all the way to the end, we have the trails that we want to turn on. Always do that. At least that's what I prefer to do. I'll turn up the motion here a little bit. Maybe the decay. Maybe the mix of it just down. And make sure my pitch B is not something too crazy. So let's check this out. Alright, now that's something I would only turn on for like the worship set at church. But it's still good to have. So right now we can see we have shimmer, effects loop, and searchlights. Let's keep going, and then I'll show you how to reassign the foot switches and also move them around in a pretty easy way. So 3 lines, signal flow. The next slot from the end is going to be a delay. And more times than not, I'm going to choose mono than simple delay. And this really allows me to just have a really easy delay time. You will notice that the time, you can either have it in milliseconds, or if we push on the first encoder knob here, we can assign the subdivision. So we can put that to dotted eighth, tap in our tempo, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring the feedback up a bit, and then also make sure we have our trails turned on. So double hit the save on that. This was assigned to foot switch 3, but we will keep going here. The slot right after our effects loop block is more than likely going to be a tremolo. So we're going to go to our modulation section. Maybe go to legacy for this one and see what options we have. Bias trim, opto trim. Let's go with the opto on this one. Turn the depth down a little bit. Turn our speed down a little bit. Let's go and turn off our other effects so we can actually hear what we're doing. Okay, here we are. So to edit things, you want to tap on the switch, and now the parameters show up on that screen. You know where that song is. You can change the shape, but I don't want to do that right now. Definitely, you have the option to turn the mix down just a little bit, so you can get a little bit of dry signal in there. Maybe turn the depth up at that point. Turn the mix of it down. And then volume sensitivity. Basically says the harder you pluck, the faster it's going to get. I'm going to turn it all the way down. Okay, that works for me. Hit save twice. You can hit the mode switch and we can see how we filled up our slot so far. And let's go in and do a few more things. I will go ahead and add an overdrive. And for some reason, I'm really liking the air apparent here lately. Let's turn the gain down, maybe presence up just a little bit. I do like the overdrive clipping. You can also change the voltage from 9 volt to 18 volt, which is kind of neat. But what we want to do with drive pedals is we want to turn them off. And let's turn off our tremolo here. And make sure that the bypass signal is about the same volume as our engaged signal. So alright, I'm liking that one. And then signal flow. One more slot down here. We're going to go in another distortion. We're going to go to legacy. And where is it here? We're going to turn on... let's just go to screamer. And this does give us an option for drive, bass, tone, treble, and output. So a lot of different options here. But we'll keep the drive down, the output up, maybe the treble down just a little bit. Maybe the tone at 50% area, bass down. the thing with tube screamers is they are going to have a good mid-range hump to them. So they're really meant to push the front end of an amp and just get more overdrive. Now, you can see that we don't have a screamer on our foot switch right here. So what we have to do is go back into our signal flow. We're going to go to our effects loop block and essentially tap the middle switch and then turn the third wheel over till we get to none. And then we're going to save that. And now I'm going to take my screamer and add that onto a foot switch. But now we need to use up this other switch here. So go back. This is going to be foot switch number 5. And we're going to go to our delay and put that on number 5 there. Okay, so there we are. So now, in order to rearrange these, all we have to do is just touch 2 switches. It'll say swap foot switches 5 and 6. I'm going to hit OK. So that swap those. I'm now going to put my screamer down here on the bottom corner and my heir apparent now on the middle switch on the bottom. So that gives me some options for my drives and delay on the bottom, which is what I'm going to access the most. And then have my tremolo, searchlights, and shimmer more wet effects across the top. So just to demonstrate this, here's my clean tone. Okay, here's the heir apparent. And here's the screamer. And here's with them both on. Okay, that is just a good starting point. I can tweak all those more if I want, or even switch them out to totally something different. But for now, let's keep on going through these effects. So here's the simple delay. Here's a shimmer. And searchlights. And the tremolo. So now going over to the amp 1, I can turn on the reverb. So this gives me a core reverb sound that I can use the searchlights to blend in and add just a little bit more. Maybe turn the mix of that up. Turn on the delay. Now all this stuff can be tweaked out to your liking, whatever you want. Right, we can turn up the mix of the delay a little bit. Okay, so that all works really well. Now, the amp 1 has 4 different channels we can choose from, but really it's just 2 at a time. So we got either a clean channel and then our option between a vintage, a classic, and a modern. So right now it's on the classic mode. Then if I hit foot switch number 1 on the amp, that changes my channel. And because my tube screamer is before the effects loop block in the signal path, it's going to hit the front end of that channel. Okay, also if I turn on my delay, it will come after any dirt on the amp and just have a nice clean delay sound. I I can also add some shimmer in there. Okay, so we got a little bit going on there. Then I can go back to my clean, maybe turn on some tremolo. So that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to show you how I set up a basic preset. These can be switched out to literally any other sound that you want. You do have your tap tempo right here. And if you hold it, you have your tuner. I do have the tuner set to strobe. So I just have a good accurate tuner right there on the board. So it's all very easy to access and get to. If you want to switch presets, you can. Just make sure you save by double hitting the save button. That's the fastest and easiest way to save. Then you can also go over to another preset if you want and try and play around with that. Okay, or go over here. But notice that these other presets, which I have not touched yet, are actually not going to have a very important element. And that is the effects loop block. So without effects loop block, we are not going to be able to have all the 4 cable connections available. And so if I go in here and insert that, if I turn it off, this is what it sounds like. Right? It's essentially taking my guitar signal and taking the output of the HX effects and sending it straight to the effects return without connecting the send and input options on the amp. So you essentially have bypassed all preamp and drive channel options and just use the power amp. But now when I turn on the effects loop 2, this is what it sounds like. Okay. So I can turn all that off. Now we do have a Scream 808 right here, which is really neat, and I can click on that, hit action, I can copy block, and watch this. I can go over to my starter, I can go to the screamer, go to action, and paste block. Now you can see that I've copied and pasted a block from another preset. So that might be a cool way to mix and match different settings that you know you already like into other presets. And maybe I can turn the gain down on that. And this one only has gain tonal level like a regular tube screamer does. So there's that. So it rolls off the low end just like it's supposed to. And it's really a good setup. So I'm very happy with this, and I can use this for all kinds of stuff. So if you like watching this kind of content, be sure to subscribe down below and click the bell. And until next time, I'm Dr. Mcfarland. I will see you in the next video. Keep rocking.